Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
On this show, we're going to be talking about heroes. You know, sometimes we have heroes who are sports stars or movie stars or rock stars. We're going to talk today about becoming a hero all on your own.
On your own.
To talk about that, Kelly Fuhlman, she's a best-selling author and speaker. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, it's an honor to have you on, and I love the title of your book. We're going to go ahead and put that up on the screen so everybody can see it. Be the hero and rescue yourself, creating the inner courage to wear your own cape. I love that. I love that. Okay, tell us how you came with that title.
Well, we had a title for the book at the very beginning, and then as I started writing the book, I wasn't really happy with the title. But when I started going through the book, it kind of immersed from me. I started looking through all the lessons. They're not chapters, they're lessons. And I started realizing that I had so many people that had been my hero that helped me get that step further, gave me information I needed. But at the end of the day, I needed to rescue myself. I needed to put on the cape. I needed to fly. I needed to take the steps forward to rescue myself and put myself in a better place or get myself out of a bad situation. So I want to kind of rupture the self-help book industry.
Yes.
Because there's no 10 steps to a perfect life, because I hate to tell you, but those steps will disappear.
Yeah.
You know, they'll go flat, they'll rot out. So what are you going to do? Put your cape on and fly over.
I love it. Well, I have to tell you something. Kelly and I have been friends for years now, and I told her, you know, I've done a bunch of public speaking, and so has Kelly. I said, one of the things that you're going to have to deal with, Kelly, is you're so beautiful and you're so charismatic that there will be people in the audience who don't like you instantly because they say, well, she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She's never had any setbacks. And you said, oh, I've had setbacks. So one of them was dyslexia.
Yes. So I was not diagnosed till my senior year in high school. So at my age, at 42 years old, dyslexic was not a big part of the education system. It's not something they really talked about. But my mom knew something was wrong. She knew I was smart and intelligent, but I was just not getting something at school. So she fought and fought and fought the system. And then finally, my senior English teacher came to my mom and said, have you tested Kelly for dyslexia? And mom cried. So I finally was tested. And because of that testing and because I started studying and learning how to learn again, I was able to actually get into college when a counselor told me that I wasn't college material. And so now I'm sitting here with a bachelor's degree in communications and a master's degree. But it was a struggle. I had to prove myself in college. Day one, I was on academic probation the first day of college.
Wow.
And taking remedial courses that wouldn't even go towards my degree for the first year.
And that affects your self-esteem.
It does.
I mean, even if people in the outside world look at you and say, she's got it all together, inside, you are beating yourself up.
And I still do to this day. So, you know, at any moment in time, I'll spell something wrong on social media, thank God for Grammarly, but I'll spell something wrong and then somebody will point it out. And it just brings me back as a little girl when I was in second grade and people were making fun of me when I couldn't read. I would stutter, I couldn't read, I wasn't fast at math, and I was called stupid. So it just kind of brings you back into that world, and you've got to pull yourself out of it. So my mom did some really great things when I was younger. She put me in dance. She helped me get into pageants. She helped me kind of realize that I was a good public speaker and I was good at something. So then that helped translate into other parts of my life. So
yes.
Go, Mom.
Well, and I love your social media, so I encourage all my viewers to follow her because she puts out these wonderful little clips. We've got one that we're going to roll right now.
TikTok. So as a kid, when I was studying for spelling tests when I was in elementary school, I was made to feel like I was stupid because I couldn't spell. And I would go home and I would study and memorize over and over again, trying to work on the spelling words. My parents would drill me on it and still come up short, with 50s or 60s or possibly a 70 on a spelling test. And it really, really killed my spirit as a student and hurt my ability to be open to learning other things and trying to feel confident that I could learn other things. So please understand when your kiddo is struggling with spelling or is dyslexic or even just struggles with just, sounding out words and getting them written down, don't make them feel stupid because it is going to affect the rest of their education and how they feel about themselves. Be sweet, y'all.
So powerful, and I love the way you're just so raw and real, and that's what you hope people get out of your book. I know everybody's life has chapters, and
Yes,
you have the mountaintop, and then you have the valley.
Yeah.
One of the valleys that you shared with me was you got into drugs.
I did. And it's one of the kind of the scary moments of putting out a book and talking about addiction and talking about your struggles with it and why. And there had been a lot of things that had happened in my life. I graduated from college. I moved to Dallas from a small town to a big town. My parents had been married for 29 years. They were going through a tough divorce. I was supposed to get married, and that didn't happen. And then I was let go of my very first job ever in Dallas because of some sexual harassment stuff that I reported, and they fired me 2 weeks later. So I flat bottomed and I went the wrong direction. So I wish I could say that it taught me a lesson and I powered through, and I really didn't. I flat bottomed, and we all do. We all have those moments. And the aha moment really for me was I disappeared for a weekend and scared the ever-living daylights out of my whole family. They were coming from Beaumont, which is about 6 hours away. They were all piling into trucks about to come find me. Mom and Dad had called the cops. The cops were in my apartment looking for me because I had just disappeared. And my parents had worked so hard to send me to school with no debt. And here I was just wasting away with people who didn't care about me, with people that didn't care about my best interest. I had to completely change who I was hanging out with. I had to delete phone numbers. I had to be alone for a while and kind of figure out how to heal and figure out how to rescue myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when you're writing the book, are you debating, do I put this one in or do I keep this story to myself? What was that like?
That's difficult. When I was starting to write the book, I was still working with Disney. So, drug addiction is not a big Disney story.
Right.
And then when they laid me off, I'm looking for gainful employment. So you're like, oh my gosh, if someone sees my book and they think they're going to hire me, then they see this, they may not hire me. So you go through that struggle in your head, and at the end of the day, you've got to be vulnerable. My story is not special. There are other people that have worse stories out there than I do, but I think it's a moment in time where we need to open up and get vulnerable and tell people our truth, because it may help one person. My book may help one person, and that's really what it was meant to do.
I love that.
Help.
And you're still climbing mountains. We've got some pictures of you training, and you are really. I love because when you get in competition mode, you are.
I'm
fixated.
focused.
Okay, what were
There's
you
my
training?
dad.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's my daddy.
Okay, what were you training for?
So I compete in bodybuilding competitions, and they're the bikini division. So I say it's like pageants and bodybuilding meet kind of in the middle. So it's still the hair, it's still the makeup, it's still the glam and the glitter and the shiny. And then the women are very shapely, the tiny waist and the muscles, but it's not just ripped.
Yes.
It's very focused. It's an hour and a half or an hour every day in the gym. It's bringing my food. So a couple of times that we've met, I've brought out my Tupperware and I've opened it up, and it's being focused and making sure that you eat what you're supposed to eat. And then you get on the stage, and then there's this one moment where you look beautiful, but it's so much work behind the scenes to get to that one moment. And I enjoy it because I think I like seeing the change, and I like seeing how I have gotten better. Because you can put your results and your pictures up next to each other, and you can see the progress that you've made and how much better you've gotten over the years. So, and my dad was the one who got me into him. So he competed when I was younger, and we were able to compete together a couple of times when he was in his 60s, and He's still in the gym at 69 years old.
Wow.
So.
But, and I love it that you put yourself out there and you compete, because even putting yourself out there and competing is running a risk. I mean, if you don't finish where you want,
Right.
Does that become self-defeating?
It can. So if you don't mentally are ready for these 7 judges to give feedback and tell you either your last place or your first place or somewhere in the middle, if you're not mentally prepared for that feedback, it could really hurt how you envision your competition life is going to go.
Yes.
And you start taking it personally. And it's really not, it's 7 people, one moment in time, one time on stage. Those people know you've worked hard because they've been in the industry, but they're looking at you one moment in time. And they're looking at you against 20 other girls.
Wow.
And so you can't take it personally. So that's why I like to look at progress pictures. I like to look at my previous contest photos and the ones next, and did I improve? And if that's a yes, then I've won.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to look right into that camera. That's your camera.
That's my camera.
There are something like 40 million Americans unemployed right now, and many of them are probably beating themselves up and feeling, desperate that the world is cratering.
Yeah.
What do you want to say to those people?
It's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to be and have a moment, but don't stay there. Don't stay in that moment. Take a step back, find your network, find your people, get out, go and meet people, go and volunteer, because you never know what's going to happen and who you're going to meet, and that will give you that next opportunity. So be upset, cry, scream. It's okay, but get out of that moment and go connect with your community and your network, and then it'll open up doors that you never thought were possible before.
I love that. That's a great way to end it. And be the hero and rescue
yourself.
Yes. Okay, we're going to put your website up.
Thanks.
KellyFuhlman.com is her website. I love that. That's such a beautiful image. Thank you,
It is.
Kelly. You were a great
Thank you so
guest.
much, Jeff. I appreciate it.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.